Welcome everybody back to the channel. It's time to review WWE's Money in the Bank 2024. John Cena is retiring, ladies and gentlemen. Announces his retirement, will retire in 2025. And Drew McIntyre wins Money in the Bank, but he cashed in on the same night, failed with a cash-in attempt. Is it a wasted briefcase? We're going to discuss that and more here today. It's myself, Steve, and NX Steve in the house. So welcome everybody if you're watching on YouTube and on X. First off, let's get your overall thoughts of the show, NX Steve, of Money in the Bank 2024.
Yeah, it was okay. I think there's a lot of talking points coming out of it that aren't really so much to do with the wrestling, strangely enough. It's more to do with other stuff.
Yeah, in ring, I think it's a very solid show. I think there's a lot of good things to discuss from this show. There's some other bits and bobs that I think will have their ups and downs depending on what people's where they land, I suppose. But I think the biggest talking point coming out of this show, like you say, is nothing to do with the wrestling. It wasn't even advertised before the show. It was a huge surprise by the host, Trish Stratus, and we got John Cena to the ring. John Cena come in. It was great to see him, but you can see that T-shirt before he started talking. The time is up. It feels for him. He's going to retire in 2025. Made a big thank you to Toronto. Said why he was doing it in Canada, and he wanted to pretty much tell everybody to join him for the ride. So John Cena, he said he's going to be around for the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and WrestleMania, but they would be his last of those shows. As we go into the press conference, he's actually said that he's going to be doing from January till December. So to do the full 2025, I believe between 30 and 40 dates are arranged. He's open to a 17th world title, and also he may just partake in the Royal Rumble. And there's a lot of superstars that he wants to face on the roster. First and foremost, I think we have to say John Cena, hell of a career he has had. He's been the face of the company throughout the PG era and stuff through the company, gone through good and bad times as well. But John Cena has been a big mainstay of WWE and of course will be missed by many of a generation.
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, like, he wouldn't be a professional wrestler if he didn't have his ups and downs in the world of the crazy world of WWE. Honestly, when he came out, I was just so like, oh, John Cena making another appearance at Money in the Bank. This is the second year in a row he's done this. Maybe this is going to be his shtick going forward. Just completely ignored even what the Tower said. I was just like, I didn't even. This is the problem. Is like it's the same stuff, and like I just thought it was the same context. And it's only like, and I saw his face, and I was like, why does he look like he's about to cry? And like I said, I missed the T-shirt, I missed the towel, and I was like, he gets in the ring, and then I was like, oh, this is actually quite serious. And I was, it's weird. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's obviously not as round as much as we'd like to, but I think next year is going to be a hell of a year for that guy.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what it's going to bring to the table. And ultimately, John Cena has, whether you loved him, whether you hated him throughout his heyday, he was a guy that he was there. He was there for the fans. He would tour around the world. He'd do everything for WWE. He'd have no time off. He would just give everything to the company. Multiple world championships, 16 in total, tied with one Ric Flair. But of course, time does catch up on you. He does go to Hollywood as well. He's actually filming at the moment. He's taking the weekend off of a season he's filming, but he's hoping to be around, like I said, in January. The plans are going to be put in place. So we know well ahead of time. He's said in the press conference as well, like he's going to be involved on a lot of international shows as well, which I think is going to be amazing for people around the world. Everyone's going to have their chance to see John Cena before he's gone for good. And he has said when he stops, the shorts are gone as well. He's going to show, if he shows up, he's going to show up in a shirt and tie. He's not going to be doing special referee stuff. He's not going to go flying through a table by accident. This is it. So, I mean, look, I think one thing we have to say is that it's fantastic that someone like John Cena gets to pick when he's going to retire, because obviously a lot of superstars are forced to do so when they don't want to, or it's a situation of, like John said himself, that they retire for championship matches. AJ Styles, anybody, or Mark Henry? But obviously as well, there are ones out there that will come back later on. But he is saying, no, this is it. It's a proper tour, January to December. After that, see you later. I'm finished. But and there's many of the roster he's not faced either. And I think that leads me to my question to you: is some of the matches you'd want to see John Cena have in 2025?
Oh, dude. I mean, the first couple that came to my head is maybe a couple of unfinished story beats, like maybe Uncle Howdy obviously just because of like the Firefly Funhouse and all that kind of stuff. But then even new guys like Bron Breakker, like I think Bron Breakker and Cena could have an absolute quality match. And yeah, it's, I mean, the thing that puzzles me most is the fact that he's only doing until December, and it's like, so you're telling me John Cena's final match is going to be on like a random SmackDown or Raw in December? Like, it doesn't seem right. Like, it almost feels like he should go to 42 and finish his career there. I know obviously he's probably got filming schedule and stuff, and it's like, it just seems wrong that it's going to be in December and not on the grandest stage of them all.
It does feel when it's not a WrestleMania. I would completely agree with that. I wonder, and this is me speculating, I have no idea, but we've not had a premium live event in WWE in December for a couple of years. I wonder if there's going to be a special one, especially to say goodbye to John Cena next year.
The only thing I can probably think, this is the pay-per-view I thought of, is Tribute to the Troops, because that's a very John Cena-esque pay-per-view. Like, obviously his whole thing, he's like obviously Make-A-Wish record holder, and he does so much stuff for the armed forces. So unless they say bring back Tribute to the Troops in December, because obviously they do it around Christmas time, that could possibly be it. Like, but otherwise it just seems weird.
Does seem weird. I mean, I was trying to think to myself what would be a suitable one, and a part of me did think, and I should have done a Google check on this. I didn't. Apologies, but I believe his first ever pay-per-view appearance he had in 2002 was at a show called Vengeance, and I believe it's against Chris Jericho. So, could it be a fitting way of Vengeance to finish things off, or it could simply be, a pay-per-view name that Triple H wants to bring back? For example, it could be like a Starrcade or something like that. But I imagine it could be something of John Cena related to symbolize, like you said, that this is his last show. And I think Tribute to the Troops actually is the best shout I could hear or think of, and I think that would be a very fitting way for him to hang up the boots. But as for a couple of opponents I'd like to see him go against, I think Logan Paul is one I think would be destined to happen. I think if John Cena's been on Impulsive, I think it will happen. But Gunther would be the one I want to see. I want Gunther to be the last match. I mean, who doesn't want to see John Cena get chopped the crap out of?
You basically want to beat Cena with an inch of his life just before his career is about to end, basically.
Sorry, John. He said he can't see him, so I mean, he's got to find him first.
True.
But we'll see what goes down. But no, for me personally, I was a bit surprised to hear the news, but at the same time, I do feel it's time. Last couple of matches John has had, I haven't felt the same Cena that we saw back in the days, which is natural. He's not a full-time performer anymore, but the fact he's going to get to come back and everyone's going to get to celebrate for a whole calendar year, like I say, I think it's pretty darn special.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I was sitting there thinking as well, the fact that his retirement match isn't going to be at 42. Does this mean he's automatically the headliner for 42? Or, do you know what I mean, in case card subject to change and he does go to Mania 42, does his Hall of Fame inductee then get pushed back to 43? So yeah, there's loads of, like, he's still going to be in or around, and like I said, his Hall of Fame is probably going to be amazing. But yeah, I think next year, I imagine he's going to be on every pay-per-view possible. I mean, especially with them doing so many shows and so many pay-per-views around the world, it's kind of almost like you have to buy a ticket now because it's the last time ever. Do you know what I mean? It was like when we went to All In and we watched CM Punk, and then obviously everything happened, and we spoke about it afterwards, and we was like, we presumed that was genuinely the last time you'd ever see CM Punk in a ring, and it was kind of like, well, I'm really glad I got to go and see it. And it's going to be along those lines as well with John Cena. Like, it's going to be a case of, if you miss it, that's it. You ain't going to get another opportunity, which is why I imagine that most of the shows next year, well, every show that's got Cena on next year will guaranteed to sell out because he's going to be on them. But I think that they're going to try and push boundaries with maybe bigger arenas and stuff. I think that's the one thing that's probably been holding them back doing these European tours, is they want to test the boundaries with if they can fill these biggest units or stadiums or whatever they plan on doing. So if you've got a John Cena retirement tour, it's a great way to fill the house.
It certainly is. And of course, the theme of this one, Money in the Bank. I mean, WWE, cha-ching. I mean, the ticket prices have been high everywhere so far. I imagine that it's going to be of a similar situation with John Cena's name being put on the billing. So, yeah, I can imagine it's going to be a very profitable time for WWE in the year 2025. But, yeah, we're going to go into some of the comments.
I'll tell you what.
Go on.
Just before that, who's his retirement match against?
That's the big question. For me, I would want it to be Gunther. That's who I want it to be.
See, I would have thought Bron, because Bron is obviously... Gunther's established now. Bron's the up-and-coming. He's the future of the company. I would have said someone like Bron, or even a Carmelo Hayes, for example.
Carmelo Hayes would be a good shout indeed. Obviously, we'll take the first comment here from Jones here. He says, actually, that Cena needs to put over Carmelo Hayes amongst others. I mean, Carmelo Hayes is a great shout because of the Boston connection as well. Both being from there, so that could be quite fun as well. But Bobby asking, do you see a TNA wrestler against John Cena? Personally, I don't see it, but never say never.
Maybe if he does a TNA appearance, a NXT appearance, maybe, or like for instance, Joe Hendry and John Cena versus someone in a tag team match on an NXT pay-per-view next year, something stupid like that.
That could be quite fun. Bobby actually wants to see Joe Hendry versus John Cena, period, which, to be fair, I'm not sure I'd be totally against that if they did sign up for it. And Robbie, of course, actually says he's excited for Cena's last run as well. Hello to everyone as well that is joining us. Hope you are all keeping well. And we'll see. We're going to get through all the comments and we're going to go through the entire show as well. John Cena needs to put over people on the way out. Shame we never got that heel turn. Do you feel that the heel turn could come from Cena, or do you reckon that it wouldn't be a wise move in 25?
Nah, the guy is obviously he's just that guy. He's the face. Do you know what I mean? He's, like I said a minute ago, he's done all those Make-A-Wishes. It'd be stupid for them to really do a heel run. I think the closest we're ever going to get to a John Cena heel run is NWO John Cena from the Firefly Funhouse match.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. Well, let's go to another of John's comments, because this is breaking news as well, or breaking news from today. And Adam Pearce has announced this on his Twitter and Instagram. Drew McIntyre has been suspended indefinitely after his actions at Money in the Bank, which does seem a bit silly, because he cashed in Money in the Bank. I don't know what happened afterwards. Has anything happened in the press conference?
Okay, yeah. So in the roundup afterwards, you had Barrett, Big E, and I forget the interviewer's name. They were doing like the post show before, and they were cut into the media scrum every once in a while. Drew basically come out, started just like berating the camera. Pierce comes out. Drew ends up, I think, elbowing Pierce in the head. They get into a confrontation, and then Wade Barrett actually gets in front and stops Drew and like forces him off to the side. So there is some storyline there for that.
Fair enough. See, you need to watch everything, unfortunately. Time doesn't allow me to watch everything, but everything is needed. But look, I mean, okay, fair enough. I'm guessing as well that this could be, I don't want to speculate really, but obviously Drew, his partner, has not been well, so maybe that could be a way to write him off TV for the time being.
That possibly, or the fact that Punk may need longer to rehabilitate his injury. That might be another one. So the fact that Punk may not be ready for SummerSlam. So if they suspend him indefinitely, they may be able to push this match back to, I don't know, hopefully not as long as, but Survivor Series.
Maybe even Bad Blood, which is going to be in Atlanta, Georgia in October. Could be quite fun. Jonesy, though, kayfabe is real. Punk should also be suspended. He's just been as out of control as Drew. This feud reminds me of Crush versus the Macho Man from back in the day. 94 vibes there for him. But I mean, Punk has not been innocent in the situation. But Triple H seems to happy to have him around, judging these last press conferences.
Did Punk get his bracelet back, by the way? That was the one thing, I didn't notice if he got his bracelet back. But Judge is right. Punk should basically be suspended for story wise. But then I don't know, man. You provoke a guy so much. Do you know what I mean? There's only so much before someone pushes back. So I don't know. It's going to be really look. The most important thing they've done with this is they have made you want to go and watch Raw on Monday night now because you want to see the fallout and see what happens.
Absolutely. I suppose, as they say, it ain't ballet, I guess is what they say, is the old famous catchphrase from it. But Pierre actually asking, and this gives me feelings Pierre maybe didn't enjoy this show too much. Before we start, do we think it's the worst Pierre Lee under Triple H as head of creative of WWE? 100% no.
No, I'm not sure which one it was. I think it was the end of last year somewhere. There was a show where I think that my opening statement and what you said, how I felt about the show, I think my statement was Triple H's worst pay-per-view to date. Not that it was a bad thing. I just don't think it was particularly his best work. And I forget, it was one towards the end of last year.
So Fastlane or Payback, one or the other.
Yeah, one of them two, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, one of those. But hey, we will take one of Eric's comments and we'll get into our first match then. Eric said, I would love to see your reaction to ESPN's rankings of the male and women's and tag team wrestlers. Personally, I haven't seen it, Eric, but
no, I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, but
we should. You know what? If we do that, we should do that without looking at the list. We should do that blind. Do you know what I mean? Just go into it and just going off the list blind.
Leave it with us, Eric. Leave it with us. But in the meantime, what we will do, because we've talked about John Cena for about 15 minutes, but we need to get into some of the action as well of this show. So let's go into Money in the Bank, shall we? And obviously, we'll start off with Drew McIntyre. If it will come from the screen. There we are. We got it there in the end. Winning Money in the Bank in the opening match of this show. Bit of a wild one, this one. There's a lot of big spots in this match. Obviously, Chad Gable having an armbar on Drew McIntyre whilst on the ladder, hanging off as well. And this was an opportunity for Andrade to do a springboard off of the top, hit a leg drop as well to knock Gable off of the ladder at that point. Andrade also hitting a reverse Spanish fly on Carmelo Hayes from the second rope, also onto the ladder. Gable gives a German suplex also to a ladder, which lands on Andrade, which I thought was a cool, fun-looking spot. We've got LA Knight landing a net breaker to Gable on the ladder, which is also laying sideways, which is obviously the worst way to land on the ladder, in my personal opinion. Andrade doing what he does best in a lot of these ladder matches, a sunset flip powerbomb, with Hayes going on a hanging ladder between one ladder and the ring rope was another wow moment, if you want, in this ladder match. Gable did a belly-to-belly to LA Knight over the top rope, of course, going onto another hanging ladder, which was between the ring apron and the commentary table. And then Gable goes for the contract. But Jey...
It's a long way down.
Yes, it's a long way down because Jey takes the ladder away. We just see Chad sort of going backwards and forwards and then just face planting the canvas as perfectly as he could do. And then at that point, we got a spear from Jey Uso. Uso climbs the ladder. It looks like he's going to be winning it, but of course, there was one Drew McIntyre as he wins this match, throws the ladder at him like a javelin, obviously knocks him off, and then Drew goes and collects Money in the Bank. Now, obviously, we won't talk about later just yet because obviously one of the big talking points is pretty much everybody everywhere going, Money in the Bank's been wasted this year. We'll talk about that later on when we get to the actual point. But first off, this ladder match for me was solid. A lot of big spots, as I mentioned there, and this one just flew by for me.
Yeah, I mean, just to go back to just the general opening of the show, I thought the opening package for this show was great, very movie-esque, very Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12. Do you know what I mean? Heist kind of feel, and the ticket that was a one-way ticket to oh my god, and then to start with this match just felt like just beautiful, man. It was just orchestrated beautifully, and like as good as this match was. My biggest gripe is that aside from like Gable essentially German suplexing a ladder, it's nothing we hadn't seen before. So while yes, it was still a very good match, most of this stuff is like there was nothing new. And I think that's the biggest letdown for this match. While I still very much did enjoy this match, like I said, Andrade doing the modified Spanish fly off the middle rope, I just thought was insane. And then Gable doing the belly to back to LA Knight over the top rope, I just thought was crazy as well. I just think there was nothing new in there for me. Like it just felt like kind of, I don't really want to say it, but a bang average Money in the Bank ladder match for the men.
Wow, okay. I wouldn't go that far. For me, I felt that I thought the Andrade spots were quite creative. I mean, if I've seen the Spanish fly done, I don't know if I've seen the reverse one done onto a ladder before. But maybe he's done it in AEW. Maybe he's done it there. I'm not sure.
There's like one or two. Like I said, the Andrade one, the Gable were doing the German suplex to the ladder. There's one or two, but it's like I don't know. I for some reason I don't know. It might have been my headspace that I got into while watching this. That was just like. This kind of just feels like the same. Like if I went and watched another Money in the Bank match for the men, it's something I would have seen before for like 80%, which isn't a bad thing. Like I said, I still enjoyed it. I still popped when I was supposed to pop, but it just felt like another Money in the Bank match.
Yeah, I can understand that. Look, to be fair, I mean, there's only so much you can do with a ladder. With some of the
exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's why originally they brought tables and all sorts of things into these matches to modernized them over the years. But all in all, for me, I thought this match was smooth. I thought it was fast paced. I actually felt that you look at the 17 minutes, it kind of flew by for me. I kind of thought we've only been like 5 minutes, but it hadn't been. But when it comes to the finish as well, I love the face plant of Chad Gable. I thought that was hilarious. Starters, done it so well.
We've seen like Jeff Hardy do that.
Yeah, exactly. And Jey Uso as well. It's that tease, isn't it? It's not, and they did this with both matches, really. We're not going to give away the winners just yet if you don't know it, but hey, you are on the review. But like with the men's, Jey it felt like the favourite for a lot of people. A lot of people wanted Yeet in the bank, but like Drew was there that last minute. And in my opinion, and I said this on the preview as well, was the right winner for this match because like Drew felt like the credible guy that was. If anyone could win a world title of that lineup, in my opinion, Drew was the only one, which was why I felt like he was the right person to win this, and especially with the idea of what I thought could be coming later in the show as well.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I think obviously it's why it sours on ratings is because the result is not so much predictable because honestly, I could have seen Jey walking away with this. I could have even seen LA Knight walking away with this because that guy is still massively over. Surprising that he's not really featured, like he's on TV with like Logan Paul for like 2 minutes on a SmackDown, but as soon as you put him in this match, the crowd loved him, and I was sitting there thinking after this match finished that at some point he honestly has to win the Money in the Bank match, just because I think the crowd want it so much. Jey's like, although Jey didn't win, I think he's doing so well that he's on course to win a world title. Like at this moment, he doesn't need that Money in the Bank contract. Like he honestly, his rise and his progression is going just swimmingly, and he doesn't really need it. And yeah, Drew, it makes total sense, and it's the obvious choice.
Yeah, obvious choice. But sometimes we've said this before. Predictable in wrestling. Some people think, oh, well, it was obvious. But the thing is, with predictability means it makes sense. It makes sense in the story.
We'll talk about it more when we get to the later match. But yeah, I have no qualms with Drew McIntyre winning this.
No, not at all. I think it was the right decision, full stop. And the fact he'd always said on Raw he was going to cash this in later on kind of gave you the impression that it was going to happen. It was inevitable. But if you had to give a star rating then for this one, this bang average Money in the Bank ladder match, what would you give it?
I still gave it 3 3/4 because I still really enjoyed it.
That's an average Money in the Bank ladder match. I love it. That's 3 3/4. I mean, I went with 3 3/4 as well, but there's me going, I think it was good.
I said I did enjoy it. It just, like I said, it's like it's 90% of it. There was nothing like, aside from 2 spots, there was nothing really new.
Fair enough. But what was done pretty darn well. I think that's what we was on that one there. But look, end of the day, we've got thousands of comments come flying in, so let's get into some of them as well. And for those that are watching on YouTube,
I'm gonna get ripped for saying a bang average Money in the Bank ladder match. Now watch.
Can't wait. There's a couple of John Cena things quickly, so I'll just bring those up, and then we can move on to just keeping on Money in the Bank show with the wrestling itself. So Robbie said he wants to see Cena versus Randy Orton in the Titan match, which I think, to be fair, there's a lot of history there. That could be fun to see.
Yeah. Punk versus Cena as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the interview, it suggested The Rock as well. I don't see the one happening, but I wouldn't say problem to doing it one more time. Jonesy agrees with you. Bron Breakker thinks it's a great idea. Bobby suggesting Ilya Dragunov. That would be a fantastic one. Yeah. Also, what about his loss to Austin Theory at Mania? Seems forgettable now. Well, that's Austin Theory's fault because John Cena told him at the time you wasn't ready for this match, and it's up to you what you do next. John Cena did the job. Theory didn't get over. And that's on Theory, isn't it?
I don't know, because I thought Theory was going to win. And I predicted Theory would win that match because, I don't know, like, the dude still went on to win a tag team title. And yes, his Money in the Bank might have been a bit trash, but I think that's just because it's a transitional period for creative. I think the next 12 months are going to be really important for Austin Theory. The fact that they've just lost them tag titles now, and him and Grayson Waller are obviously, I think, on the verge of having a feud. I mean, Grayson Waller's like another guy that, dude, has history with John Cena. That should be someone else that faces him. So, I think the next 12 months are going to be big for Austin Theory. Like, it's going to be a very deciding year for him.
I think it's going to be very deciding here for Austin Theory as well. And like it feels like a face push could be on the way. But if you look back to then, if it was like from that period onwards, it was up to Austin Theory to get over after not up to John Cena to say, right, okay, I've lost you now. Now I'm going to help you through to the next step. So, it's John Cena did the job. That's what I assume when Jonesy said in the comment as well earlier on about putting other people over, it'll be the same thing with that. And it's up for those superstars then to take that big win and make it mean something going forward, because otherwise people will forget about it. And that's just the way it is. Robbie here says, to be honest, I don't think Triple H has had a bad pay-per-view. There's been some that haven't been amazing, but to credit what's due, how amazing things are. Yeah, I think that's very, very true. Jonesy asking the question, what did you make of Chad Gable not having to deal with the White Six?
Give it time. He's still suffering trauma, apparently, because of like last week, and they're still chasing him down. Give it time.
Yeah, for me, I was always convinced that Logan Paul would be the one that interfered in this match, because there was always so many different people that could have interfered. It was like White Six with Gable, there was Logan Paul with LA Knight, there was CM Punk with Drew could have been in this match as well. People suggesting the bloodline on Jey Uso, which of course can happen, but felt unlikely. But there were so many different ingredients of what could have been interference. Yet this match was completely clean, and I liked it because it was clean. I liked it because it was open to where there should be shenanigans, but there wasn't. And again, I think very cleverly, because there were shenanigans later on in the show.
I think that the story would have been, obviously if you could have had a moment where he was possibly trying to grab the briefcase and then done something, yeah, sure, you could have done something with that. But I think that if he had won, there'd be a story with the White Six and that briefcase. But like I said, the right decision was made. For me, you could have had Jey, LA Knight, or Chad Gable win that briefcase. Drew just happens to be the right one at the time. But like come Monday, I'm sure there'll be some more spooky bollocks with the White Six and Chad Gable.
I think it's coming over. I think it's the thing of wasn't needed on this show, and they've been slowly building on Raw. I think it will come in time. I think it's the situation with that one. Robbie says, I wish that Chad was up there long enough for Jey to spear off the top rope. That would have been fun, wouldn't it? Or even off another ladder. Would have been great. Edge and Jeff Hardy back in the day. Bobby said it was nice as well to see Carmelo Hayes have the opportunity to win the men's Money in the Bank for the match. Good to see, there was fresh faces in this match. Andrade's not had much PLE time either, but hopefully more fresh faces will get the opportunity. Jonesy, we're well ahead of us with this question, but I will answer it anyway. Would you be a fan of them switching the SummerSlam match to Punk versus Rollins as a holdover? Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, possibly, but I don't know, maybe for me, I'd like to see the title involved with that. So, hey, who knows? But yeah, you're right, though. With the interaction they probably had last night, that's probably what they're going to go for.
It's that or the triple threat. It all depends on how this suspension is meant to be. So we'll have to take it as it comes. We've got a couple of comments that have come in about the wasted Money in the Bank, but I'm going to try and hold off on those. So let's wait a couple of seconds. We'll get to that. So what we'll do in the meantime, we'll move on to the second match. Sami Zayn defeating Bron Breakker to retain the Intercontinental Championship. Should have seen it coming. Bron Breakker held that title up on Raw, and we said it's usually the curse. It's the curse. It doesn't happen. But I said he was going to break the mold. I said Bron Breakker's going to do it because of the fact that it's Bron Breakker. But a lot of people got quite upset that Breakker lost this match. Look, to be fair, I think the story that we're trying to tell in this match, because I felt they were telling it, but I didn't think it was told as well as the Gunther match earlier in this year, I'll be honest. But Bron was dominating despite the fact Sami had hit like an Asai moonsault early in the match, the Blue Thunder Bomb as well. But Bron would go for that spear that he likes to do when he runs around on the outside on the floor. Sami leapt over him. Of course, they did that on Raw where Bron went into the steps. He stopped himself this time going into the steps. But Bron did get the advantage. And of course, he did stand on the apron and then did a clothesline on over the announcer's table to Sami Zayn, which was pretty cool. He did that on Raw as well, but the fact he's got that leap, I think, was really cool. But he did tweak his knee from doing that move. So, storytelling, or is it legit? Probably storytelling, probably to protect him. However, Sami then ended up throwing Braun in the corner when he was a bit more vulnerable going back into the ring. But then Sami I think was going for the haluva kick, but Bron managed to overpower it. Actually did his slam from the gorilla position, goes for his spear, but that's when Sami counters it, and then Sami's able to hit his haluva kick and get the 1-2-3. Now, you spoke to me about this because I was a bit like, why is everybody really upset about this one? And you said, well, it's because of the fact that Bron, not just the fact he lost, but the fact he lost with one haluva kick. Is it bad that Bron's lost this early? Because Sami does overcome the odds. I mean, he's beaten Gunther. He's main evented a WrestleMania. Bron's still a fresh face. He's still a puppy. I'm
going to try and put a positive spin on this for the people that think that this finish was worse than what it probably was. Like, don't get me wrong. There's one tweak I would have done to make it a little bit better.
Okay.
But I'm going to try and explain why Bron taking one haluva kick is fine with me. Just to go back through a couple of points, the video package they run before was just great. It was a great way to make Bron look like an absolute animal. And I felt at the start of this match that you had you essentially had Sami just basically trying to say, whatever you do, I can do better, until the point that Bron hits the afterburners and goes 23 miles an hour, and then Sami realizes, oh, maybe I can't do what he can do. And I just thought that was great that they were like, Sami was trying to be his equal until Bron just absolutely turns animal on him. But yeah, like you said, there was one moment on commentary that made me laugh with Corey Graves. What did Corey say? He turns around and goes, oh, when Sami hits the Blue Thunder Bomb, he said, it's a move that's brought him a lot of success. He's never won a match with that move. So what the hell are you talking about, Corey Graves? Anyway, I digress. But yeah, just to get to this finish. So for me personally, what I would have done is, you obviously teased it last week where Sami jumped over it and Bron speared the steps. What they should have done was had the same thing, but have Sami jump Bron spears the ring post, Sami hits the haluva kick and wins. That's what I would have done, because I think it would have been probably a much more happier finish for people. But the reason why I'm okay with Bron losing to one haluva kick is because he's not at that point in his run in WWE where he's an animal and it takes 4 or 5 finishers to beat him. They are trying to make a star out of him. And if you're going in off the gates in an Intercontinental title match at Money in the Bank, when you know Sami's only, 90 days into his title defense, they're not going to make him take like 4, 5, 6 haluva kicks before he's beat. They're going to do it as one. They're probably going to run this back at some point later on down the year. It's all about building Bron up. And obviously Bron he is an animal, but he has to learn and he has to build himself up to be like Brock Lesnar essentially, and like be able to take 4 or 5 finishes before, do you know what I mean? Before he can be beaten. Do you know what I mean? He's not essentially above anyone else. He's still like human, for example. So taking one haluva kick and losing is fine with me. Like I can understand why people are upset, because Bron's obviously been a complete animal for the last couple of weeks. But dude, it's one haluva kick. I'm fine with it, man. Like I said, at some point in the future, Sami's probably going to do the same to him, and he's going to kick out of it next time, and it's going to get a bigger reaction the next time. It's going to get a bigger pop the next time. It's building to a bigger moment when Bron finally, if he does, wins the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, I can see that argument, and I agree with a lot of that. It's almost, to a point of like what Adam Pearce has been saying to Bron Breakker, because Bron Breakker was upset he wasn't included in King of the Ring, and he said he was going to go and win that. And he pretty much said, like, you're not ready. And this was almost the way of perhaps maybe he was trying to protect Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker's ignored it. He's taken out superstars. He sent Ricochet to All Elite Wrestling. I'm going to keep doing that gag until he turns up. And then, Bron Breakker's carried on doing these things, and he's got himself now this IC Championship match. And it's like, okay, cool. It's almost like you've not listened to me. So have your match. And when you don't win, you prove my point. And that's probably the case. And it can be a situation where that could be the next story in the chapter with Bron Breakker and Adam Pearce on Raw. It can also be a situation, as was mentioned here a minute ago from Pierre, which I brought on the screen. There could be a rematch of this one, and it could even be at SummerSlam, and Bron could get the win this next time around, because after all, this show was in Canada, and you need to have one Canadian win, and Sami was the one that was voted to win on this one. So, some of the fans need to be sent home happy. So I think that's the situation with it. Would I have picked Bron Breakker to win this match if it was me booking it? Yes, I thought that was the correct result. However, they've done it this way, and I don't think Bron Breakker's been buried. It's not as if he's lost to, I don't know, Akira Tozawa or someone like that.
He's just beaten Gunther.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The guy that's been on a 666-day run as champion.
Yeah.
Bron Breakker is fine to lose to Sami Zayn. It's not the end of the world, man.
No. So there you go. So that's our thoughts on it. And what would be your rating for the match?
I gave it a 3. I thought it was good. It just wasn't like, it just wasn't. I don't know. It just felt like just a good match to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on a similar wavelength. 3.25 I'll go for, just purely on the basis that I felt that when you look at the WrestleMania match, like I said, I'm comparing it a lot to the Gunther match.
Yeah.
And I just feel like they told the story a bit better than what was done here. I kind of feel like if Bron was supposed to be the animal at the start of this, it didn't come across in the same way that it did with Gunther at WrestleMania. And I think that can be due to presentation. That can be due to the fact that Sami just got too much offense in. But it also could be the case of what the real narrative is meant to be, that Bron Breakker just isn't ready. So it could be a number of different reasons.
Ideally, this is the story-based match. The wrestling match, it will come later on down the line, which is why, like, I think a 3.25, like you said, is a fair rating because, like I said to you, like this when I was reading off my bits about the start of the match, the fact that everything Bron do, Sami tried to equal. They're trying to build that story, and the fact that, and then said as soon as Bron hits the afterburners and he just starts running at 23 miles an hour, as they like to famously say. Do you know what I mean? Sami can't handle that pace. So Sami has to obviously change up his game and do something different. So, yeah, this is the story match of probably what is maybe a trilogy or, do you know what I mean? The first of 2 matches. Who knows?
I'll have to wait and see what it'll be. Last question before I go to some comments. Thoughts on Bron Breakker's new entrance music?
Dude, I loved it, man. Like, it's a shame because I liked his original, but as long as he's got that siren, you're always going to know it's obviously was it Death Rebel? I forget their name. I mean, You always know, you're going to know from the siren it's Bron Breakkers, and it's a Death Rebel song. Really, it's okay. I don't mind it.
I thought it was fine. I didn't. I was just getting used to.
He's got lasers.
Yeah, it's got lasers. We'll take some lasers.
Yeah.
You know, a bit of flashy lights. I'm happy to see shiny things. But at the same time, I felt myself. I was getting used to the music he had, because that was fairly new music to being at the main roster. But this one seems fine. I think I will like it more in time. And I thought it was fine for the first time seeing it. Bobby's saying that maybe we could see Sheamus or Ludwig Kaiser for Sami Zayn at SummerSlam. Personally, I wouldn't be against the fact that Chad Gable was revisited, but maybe it's the White Six for him. But you going with the fatal four?
Ladder match.
Give it to us. Maybe not a ladder. We just had ladders, but 5-way. I'm down for.
It's 4 weeks till SummerSlam. They can have one ladder match.
We can forget that it ever happened. I think that's the best way to go with it. We'll take a question from Josie now. Says, how will Money in the Bank? How will it change in ring with the more Netflix-based WWE style next year? I don't know. I mean, the thing is, a ladder match is a ladder match.
Going to be a problem.
Sorry?
I don't think blood's going to be a problem once they go to Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, blood is something probably ringing.
It's a pay-per-view. They should be able to do that anyway. So I don't think it's really going to change much, because essentially anyone can go and pay £10 and get Netflix or get the WWE Network. I don't think it's probably not really going to change much if I think about it now. I just honestly thought, because it's a paid subscription, do you know what I mean? It's not. You have to be obviously of a certain age to get a subscription to these platforms. So blood shouldn't be a problem for pay-per-views, but I guess not.
I mean, the thing is like they do dangerous spots already. So I mean, how much more dangerous does it get? You know, I mean,
everything on fire.
Yeah, it's
a flaming ladder.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, you can do. I suppose you get your tables out. I don't know. It's I mean, they're going to do that anyway. I mean, they did it in the women's match. So yeah, I think blood is probably the one different area that they could go with potentially with it being on Netflix. But time will tell. Maybe more gritty, be more attitude, but it won't be chair shots to the head or anything like that. So, Pierre asking, do you think when Sami loses the IC title that he'll get a shot at the world title? Interesting.
I think if he does, it will be when Gunther has a world title, and he'll get a shot at that at some point. Obviously, I wanted Sami to win Money in the Bank. You know, spoiler alert, he didn't. But do you know what I mean? I think it'd be criminal if Sami doesn't win a world title at some point.
Yeah, hopefully it happens at some point. I don't think the time is now, and I think even if he loses the IC title, I think he maybe have some other obligations that could be coming into his timeline probably at some point before the end of the year. But we'll see. I'm going to leave that speculation till later in the video because probably we'll bring his name up again. But we'll move on in the meantime because of the fact, we have got, by the way, one average Money in the Bank match, says Eric there, so probably agreeing with you. Yeah, let's go into our next match then. And effectively what starts as a singles match turns into a triple threat match. Damian Priest against Seth freaking Rollins. Go on.
I have to apologize. If anyone's been watching this channel long enough and all I've ever banged on about is Priest winning a match clean, I apologize now because my brain finally twigged that's the story they're trying to tell is Priest wants to win a match clean, but they won't let him. I apologize now.
You don't have to apologize because you want to see it for you're feeling his pain. That's what it is. But he was annoyed for other reasons, I think, by the end of this match. But obviously, there was a bit of backstage stuff with Damian Priest before going out. There was a tease with problems with the Judgment Day and Finn Balor, saying don't come out. And Balor was like, whatever you say, boss, which made me think like something's going down. I was really hoping that Liv Morgan would be the reason that he'd lost if he was going to lose, but she wasn't there. And the match, to be fair, with Priest and Rollins was pretty good. I like the fact that both knew Drew McIntyre was going to cash in. So every time they got an advantage, they're basically looking at the curtain. I think Seth even called out Drew at one point, like, come on, do it. We're waiting for you. They both hit the finishers. Obviously, Seth hitting his curb stomp and obviously Priest hitting the South of Heaven as well with the kick out. Or Razor's Edge, I believe, was the Priest one at that time with the kick out. And then obviously there was an awkward moment where Seth Rollins hit like a Falcon Arrow. And I don't know if the fact that Drew's music was meant to hit on the two or if Priest was meant to kick out, but nothing happened. And the ref just kind of went, well, he's kicked out. So, this isn't how the match is meant to end. All right. So just leave it. All right. The camera angle, I've seen it twice. I don't see Priest moving. I don't see nothing happening. So, and the fact that Priest is that annoyed makes me, I'm going to speculate. I think that music's meant to hit slightly earlier.
This whole finish is because I didn't actually think that was meant to be the thing. I was like, my brain was like, hang on a minute, did Priest not realize he was supposed to kick out? Or I don't know. I was just ultimately I was thinking that I initially thought that Drew coming out was to compensate the fact that the ref had botched the pinfall count, because obviously everyone saw that he didn't kick out. And it was kind of like, just play Drew's music now. Just get him out there. Just completely distract the crowd with what's going on. See, that was my initial thought. But the way you've described it probably is the right way because like it makes more sense. Like, because yeah, it just like this match entirely was good but weird because like Seth is busting out an arsenal of moves that he never does. He's doing like springboards and moonsaults, and I'm like, what is going on here? And the fact that he's going at about 400 miles an hour did not help because this does get sloppy in places because of how quickly they're going. It's almost like they're trying to get it done in 90 seconds, which is obviously kind of story-based. Yeah, okay, I get it. They're trying to win the match and get out before Drew has a chance to cash in, but it did not help the quality of this match at all. And yeah, the ending was just the most confusing thing. I mean, I watched the press conference after, and someone asked Triple H about it, and he went, well, I'm going to go speak to the referee. And he goes, I'm going to answer this like Triple H would answer this. Well, I'm going to go speak to the referee and see what his answer was. Basically said, someone fucked up somewhere, but they don't know who.
Yeah. Time will tell what that will be. But I mean, the other thing my main original concern was the fact that maybe Damien was hurt. Like if he was like dropped on his head or something, then maybe that's why he wouldn't kick out. Because then, I mean, what do you do in that situation? Like, obviously, Seth isn't meant to win, and you kind of know from that point, well, Seth's not meant to get the pinfall here, so, or certainly not at this moment. But then when Drew come out, like I said, I like shiny things, lasers, lights, a lot of it. I kind of glossed over and moved past that and was like, well, Drew's out here now. The cash-ins happened. It's a triple threat match. I was like, all right, cool, bring this on. Interested with this, and of course, you knew it was going to happen. You knew CM Punk was going to come back and attack Drew McIntyre. So that's what happened. CM Punk came out and pretty much annihilated Drew McIntyre with a steel chair, with cables on the outside. And then, of course, he had a moment where he looked at the World Heavyweight title. And, of course, that's when he smacked Drew with that championship. And, of course, Seth had been taken out at that point. So Damian just had to hit the South of Heaven and then got the pinfall victory. And you can see he doesn't get the match done clean. But what I think was really good about this, and something that was completely eliminated entirely from predictions, because when we talked about this on predictions, it was like the match finishes, then Drew goes to cash in, because that's what most people do. Most people cash in afterwards because you're vulnerable. I'm now going to cash in. Drew made it a triple threat match, which is only the second time in WWE history. The first one being, of course, Seth when he did the heist of the century at WrestleMania 31. So the thing that what makes this match even more beautiful is the fact that not only does Drew McIntyre get screwed over by CM Punk, so does Seth Rollins, because there was some terms going into this match. If Priest lost, he had to leave the Judgment Day. Well, he won, so he gets to stay in the group. But if Rollins didn't win, and he's not involved in the decision, but he still didn't win, he can't challenge for that World Heavyweight Championship anymore. So Punk has inadvertently screwed Rollins as well. And this is what leads then to the question, was Money in the Bank wasted? I've seen some counter arguments with this already from people in the comments, but there's no way this briefcase is a waste. No way, shape, or form. And it's quite simple of why this Money in the Bank is not wasted. It's furthered a storyline, a top storyline in WWE much further, because Drew McIntyre, as a character that he was doing, he hated Money in the Bank. He's been vulnerable and cashed in on numerous times with Money in the Bank, so he hates it. He said that he thinks it should be abolished. Then he goes in the match himself. He then goes and wins it, and it's totally fine going and cashing it in. Not even cashing in he did make it a triple threat match, but it's not an honorable way where he went, I'm going to cash it in before the match even starts and have a proper normal match. He picked it at a time when he thought both superstars were going to be vulnerable. So that's why he did it. So as a form of his character, he's a hypocrite. That is what Drew McIntyre is, because he says a lot of things that sounds like a lot of truth, but underneath that truth comes the lies. And what's deep down, Drew McIntyre just wants to help Drew McIntyre. He doesn't really care about things being right or wrong. So that's what works with his character. CM Punk getting involved, look, of course, it's a triple threat match, no DQs involved. And the fact that Drew had a 20-minute match earlier in the evening, got a beat down as well, nice and protected through doing so. And the fact that, like I say, it's a triple threat match is a beautiful twist, because, as Jonesy mentioned earlier, you could do now Rollins versus Punk in the meantime if McIntyre's going to be away, or, as you probably would have suspected originally before McIntyre was suspended, probably getting a triple threat match. And that would be pretty exciting to see as well, because, well, two people are going to hate CM Punk when it comes to this match, which is going to be pretty fun. So no way is this Money in the Bank wasted. Like, the thing is as well, like, you look at this now, we have like two winners each year, one for the men, one for the women. And when you have one for the men and one for the women, you have the same storyline playing on WWE TV with two different briefcases. Well, the beautiful thing is we've watched Damian Priest have this for 200 days. We don't need to see it for the men. The women always have the cash in on the same night or the night after. The winner of the women's Money in the Bank gets the full focus, can have a full play out with the briefcase, with the storylines. It's good to give the women a turn. So for me, completely not a waste. Great use of storytelling, great use of the television, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I'm talking too much, I know.
Dude, I totally agree with everything you've just said, especially the part that you said that the women now get the full story, because who won the Money in the Bank ladder match for the women? A new up-and-coming star, which that briefcase is going to help build for the next 12 months, which is the point. Drew did not need a story about the briefcase. He had, do you know the other key thing is that a lot of people forget? He told everyone he was going to cash in. So it's not even a surprise, because he told you he was going to do it. So, do you know what I mean? You can't be annoyed at the fact that he's played out the story that he told you for the last 2 or 3 weeks when he said he was going to enter the match and win it. So yeah, man, dude, I totally agree with everything you're saying. It's the right thing to do for the purpose of the story. There's been so many times, like for instance, with a lot of the women's ones, when like Nikki ASH cashed in, she just cashed in for the sake of cashing in.
Yeah.
Like there was no story behind. Like, there's never really been a story about any of the cash-ins, really. And the fact that they made a story about this cash-in makes it so unique. And dude, I loved it, man. I thought it was great. Like, how often, like, we sit there and complain that they never use the briefcase properly. They finally use it in a story, and people still hate it.
And the other thing is you want to have creative with Money in the Bank, things that you've never seen happen before, something that's never happened before, someone cashing on the same night and failing. That's never happened before. 5 other occasions, people have done it and always succeeded. So the fact is, you know, Drew could have held it for a year, waiting for this right moment. Got ahead of himself. And I think it's a fun little twist. It's a great way that it's played out.
We've seen that story play out so many times before. Brock Lesnar is a prime example. Like, I think we was talking about it on maybe the preview when I said to you, Brock Lesnar, I didn't even realize he had a calendar year to cash in. And like when Heyman tells him, and his whole story was about tormenting whoever the champion was with that briefcase. That was never Drew's story. Drew's story was, I'm going to win it, I'm going to cash in, and I'm going to take that World Heavyweight title back. That was the story beat.
It was the story beat, indeed. And it didn't quite work out. But all in all, that was the World Heavyweight Championship, which, let's be fair, pretty eventful. What would be your start rating for the singles turn triple threat match?
I should rate it higher, but I went 3 1/4. I just think that the gist of the general match itself, although it was very fast paced, it was sloppy. It did not help Priest, especially because he just seemed to botch a couple of bits. Like, it just almost like he wasn't prepared for it to be this fast paced. But otherwise, I thought, like I would say, the rest of it played out well. I thought the story was great.
I've given it a 3-star purely on the basis of the screw up of the kick out. If that screw up of the kick out was not a thing, not a factor in this match, I would have bumped this up at least half a star, possibly even more. Because, like I said, as a story beat, fantastic. Because what the thing is as well is, like, yes, he screwed McIntyre, but the fact screwed Rollins as well at the same time. They could make, wrap one story up with McIntyre at one point and then start the Seth story if they wanted to, or do Seth in the meantime. They've got so many avenues and options they could potentially do with this, and that's what makes it quite exciting. So I'm all in for
story about telling.
Let's get some comments then, because we've got some opinions on this. But Temple Place says Money in the Bank wasn't wasted; it was used for the purpose of McIntyre and Punk's feud. So I don't mind it. Absolutely superb indeed. Go on.
Like I said, it's always more fun to see someone fail a cash in than it is to see them, like, depending on who the person is. For example, if it's like Big E, you want to see him succeed. If it's Drew, you don't want Drew to cash in successfully. You want him to lose. That's the point. Yeah,
that's very true. You shouldn't want the heel to win. Shouldn't. Robbie says, anyone that says it's a waste is absolutely off their heads. This was a really smart decision and one that makes the storyline a part of a really, really good. I love the decision to have Drew win. Absolutely. Yeah, I think the thing is, the whole thing just ticked all the boxes together. It was a storyline that played out for about a good hour or so of the show. And yeah, I think it executed pretty darn well. Joey said, we said we get some on the flip side. Drew Money in the Bank briefcase has the same impact as Otis. The feud with Punk didn't really need the briefcase failed cash in. It just shows the majority of men in this match were nowhere near the top of the card. Personally disagree, as I said. I mean, to compare it with Otis, who had it as a lunchbox, that's something that really didn't have a purpose with Money in the Bank and then lost it to the Miz halfway later in the year. This has actually been used for a top storyline, so I have to disagree.
Yeah, I mean, it's been used for an A-list storyline, because I think we had this discussion last week or whenever it was, and I said that I watch Raw and there's 4 stories I'm intrigued by to watch. So, like, Raw for me kind of is a must-watch at the minute because everything on it is really good. Punk Drew is one of them, and the fact that this briefcase has just been used as a story beat, I've got no problems with that.
Yeah, absolutely. No problems with that at all. Let's try and get some of the up-to-date comments. We've got Dan Williams in the house. Dan, hope you're doing well, mate. Thank you for joining us. Says, I thought the show was great. It's good to hear that you enjoyed it. Happy to say. Pierre has a lot to say. So let's see what he's got. I've seen that there. So we're going to try and go through his comments here. He says that the timing problems, Drew was supposed to interrupt the count. Maybe that's what the reports are suggesting. That would make sense. His thought about Drew failing the cash-in. I think WWE wants to focus more on the women's briefcase holder. I agree with that as well. I think it's about time they get time with it also, because they don't get it ever usually. So the most they've had outside of Carmella's, which was the first one, has been a month. So it's not enough time. He says, I started to believe WWE doesn't like to try to book two people Money Briefcase. I'm starting to have serious doubts about that. Not surprised, to be fair. You should have one short and one long. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, dude. It's a state, like, so it's a piece of WWE. They're going to do it every year. At some point, you probably will get two concurrent. I'm sure at one point you will get a power couple, like for example, a Charlotte and Andrade will win both of them at the same time, and they will power couple both the briefcases. Do you know what I mean? That sounds actually like a great idea, if I do say so myself. So, yeah, man, I'm sure at some point they'll do it. But yeah, just to go back on the previous statement, dude, it's about focusing on Tiffany Stratton.
Absolutely. It is about focusing. And I've got to say, an NXT original, by the way, with Andrade and Charlotte having the briefcases at the same time, the power couple. But Pierre is going to say that Tiffany will have the case for more than 100 days. And it's normally the women have to cash in on the same night. So he's happy with that. So there we go. I think Pierre overall then quite happy with the decision. Bobby thought that McIntyre was going to wait to cash in until SummerSlam. I mean, perhaps maybe Drew should have taken your advice, Bobby, but he didn't do so, and therefore now he is without a Money in the Bank briefcase. Booking like a Mark said, I felt it should have been a later where CM Punk stopped Drew from cashing in after Priest won clean over Rollins, then let Drew hold it, but wait to really cash in until he's free of CM Punk. I mean, in hindsight, for Drew, that would have been a beautiful thing. However, I mean, I'm going to say I do think the whole thing was played out in the right way in the end.
The thing is, as well, is that this literally could have been done at any point in the next year. They've just decided to do it on the first good night. I think that's the thing that's maybe annoyed people a lot, is that instead of waiting for another moment to like, for example, to do this at a SummerSlam, but then it's like, yeah, but now we're going to get something different at SummerSlam rather than what you expected to happen, maybe.
And also, it's Drew's character, because Drew can't wait. He's desperate to be the world champion now. He's not thinking rationally, and that's a part of the Drew side of what's going through this psychotic stage right now. So if anything, it's more to do with Drew than it is to do with Punk. But I do see people, look, everyone's entitled to have their opinion, and everyone's entitled to think what's right and wrong with the situation. But as I say, we're just quite passionate of why we think the briefcase wasn't wasted. But if you didn't like it, that's of course a different argument. But the fact that Drew's been screwed over 3 times by Punk, it became so redundant. He has been screwed over 3 times by Punk, but Drew's also continued on with Punk. So I mean, this has been a feud that's been going on for a while, but they've not even had a match yet, Drew and Punk, and I think it's the feud of the year.
Yeah, Drew literally quit the company just so he could go and beat Punk up in Chicago. Do you know what I mean? And now the fact that they've brought Seth into this story as well, because Punk has essentially screwed over Seth as well, this plays back to the feud that we should have got for Mania this year. So, dude, I think it's great.
Absolutely, I do as well here. And King wants to see Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. You could be in luck. You could be in luck. I did a short on when I think Roman Reigns will return to WWE. That is available on the channel now. But stick around with us in the meantime, even though it's only a short, because we've got a lot to talk about here, including the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Tiffany Stratton picking up the win. She will be the one that will be holding this case, the up-and-comer, the star of the future. Now, I actually am going to give a bit of a feeling of my impressions of this match just before we go into details of it, because we talked, NXT, and I think you said this was your match of the night, didn't you?
Absolutely agree, man. This dude, I can't blow enough smoke up Chelsea's ass if I tried. She's fantastic. Do you know what, right? The most important thing is, for me with Chelsea, is she came out in like hometown, right? And what did she look like? She had a smile across her face like she always does, right? She is there because she loves being there. That's the impression I get with Chelsea, right? She obviously knew that she wasn't going to win this match, but she went out there, she performed, and she did it with the same presentation she's had ever since she's been back in WWE. She never looks like she's got loose face, which for me is so important. And obviously, like, I completely forgot that, we're going back to Clash here, that 3 Scottish acts, only one of them's winning. And obviously, with my predictions, I predicted Chelsea to win this just because I want Chelsea to win it. And, like, dude, honestly, she was an absolute star in this match. Absolute star. And she just made this match for me. And then just to put in the match in general, the spots incredible. Like Io is just insane, right? Put her in every type of gimmick match just to see what she does. And this match was so without going back and watching every women's Money in the Bank match, I'd have to probably say this is one of my favorite women's Money in the Bank ladder matches of all time, because I just love this, man. Like, the spots they did were great, just everything, man.
There was a couple of really dangerous looking spots in this match. There was a couple of brutal ones, and I've got to say, we'll get into those details. For me, I actually felt when I watched this that it was a match of two halves for me a little bit. I didn't enjoy the first half as much as I enjoyed the second half. I thought the second half was like best women's Money in the Bank ladder match I've ever seen. First half, I think, just was a little bit sloppy in places, dare I say. I think there was a couple of and the thing is, I don't think it's fully to the fault of the performers, whether they get a chance to work with the equipment or not, I don't know, but taking too long for ladders to open and stuff. It was just, they're big and clunky, I understand, but just the ladders it wasn't as, I think the wording I wanted, it wasn't as smooth as the men's was, and because of trying to get the ladders and stuff into spaces, but and also Zoe's spot as well, where she hit her head on the ladder when she was trying to do the flipping outside. That looked like that as well. But I will say this though, usually that can take you out of a match. I think it added to the match a little bit as well, because commentary started describing it as a bit like a car crash environment, dangerous. And all of a sudden, with these spots kicking in, there was some dangerous ones starting from the performers. You were like, yeah, anything can happen here. And it kind of you start believing things more because you worry someone's actually going to get hurt. So it's kind of, it sounds weird, but in a way it elevated the match for me. So the second half of it, I was like, this is bloody brilliant. And when Michael Cole was turning around and saying I shouldn't be enjoying this, but I am, it's kind of like, yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head a little bit with that one. But let's go through some of those spots anyway. You mentioned Chelsea being an MVP, and let's be fair, she kind of was, because of course she's scared of heights. It's Chelsea Green, and she's going to have a gimmick going into this match. It just makes perfect sense. And of course, you're not going to climb a ladder if you're going to be scared of heights. You're going to jump for the briefcase. Of course, that's what you do at the start when everyone's on the floor, because she's
never seen it before.
Yeah, it's funny. It's really funny. And the one I actually liked as well was when she's getting the ladder, she tries then to actually knock the briefcase off with it, again, like a javelin, rather than climb it. It's like, no one will come near you if you try climbing this right now, because everyone's laid out on the floor, but you still won't climb it. Like, she could have won this match in the first 2 minutes. It's classic Chelsea. It works perfectly.
Yeah, it's great.
We mentioned go on.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, yeah, dude. Like, honestly, I was in fits of laughter, man. Just honestly, she is just like she just loves it so much, man. Like, you don't expect it, and then all of a sudden she just starts jumping like a loony trying to reach for it, and it's like only Chelsea Green would do that, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, we mentioned about Zoe's spot on her head, unfortunately, but obviously Tiffany using that gymnastics quite a bit in this match to her advantage, obviously getting Naomi in a position to hit her with an Alabama slam on the ladder. She also ran up the ladder, or I think casually got up a ladder into the corner to then do a dive onto the competitors on the floor. Naomi was on the ladder as well. In fact, it was actually on two ladders she was climbing up, and it was pulled apart to the point that she was doing the splits, and then she ended up actually hitting Zoe with like a DDT. That was cool. That was really cool.
Dude, do you remember the Jean-Claude Van Damme advert where he's doing the splits between two lorries? This is instantly what I had flashback to. Great.
Brilliant. Obviously we mentioned about the same with the other ladder match, but the same here. We have the ladder here, but this time there's two ladders, but with ladders hooked between the ladder and the ring rope. And obviously the first one, Zoe Stark just pretty much throws or powerbombs Lyra off the ladder onto one of these ladders. Just looked brutal the way it was done. Chelsea, I'm going to be kind of modified and prettier on Naomi. It wasn't the cleanest looking and pretty we've seen, but hey, look, I don't think it's easy to balance doing that sort of move. But then Io does what I think might have to probably give my OMG moment of the night here. It's like a sit-down pile driver or like a tombstone-like maneuver off the top of the ladder. Zoe Stark. How is Zoe Stark's walking? I do not know. Damn.
As well when she comes off that ladder as well and hits the deck, like she just drops like just like a sack of potatoes, like just hits the floor. It's great.
And I mean, as well, he was folded up like a pretzel as well. Like, it's just, absolutely brilliant stuff indeed. And obviously, we get to the finish of the match, and obviously, everyone's laid out, and Chelsea Green's then like, right, okay, everyone's laid out. Go on, then I'll try this ladder climbing thing. She gets herself all the way to the top, and of course, someone goes to meet her up there. Of course, it's Tiffany Stratton. One thing I hadn't mentioned earlier in the match was 2 tables were set perfectly outside. And you might remember, if you've watched the predictions, you watched the preview of this, you might remember me mentioning when Chelsea Green was in TNA or Impact Wrestling in the Queen of the Mountain match, she did a spot where she went flying off a ladder through 2 tables on the floor. How beautifully it was done, because it played beautifully with the narrative of the match. When you eventually get yourself up there, you come flying off. And there was a reason you didn't like it in the first place, and you go flying through 2 tables. Tiffany Stratton, of course, left on her own, and she pulls off the Money in the Bank. Tiffany Stratton, Money in the Bank again. Look, some will say it's predictable, but it's the right call. It's the right winner.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was only going to be one of the 2 of them, but like the fact that Tiffany in the post-match automatically said that she's going to customize the briefcase. It's going to be pink. It's going to have a shoulder strap. Do you know what I mean? It's what we expected, and it's what they're doing. I mean, dude, you said this, 4 or 5 months ago that Tiffany was going to win this. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I think I said it would be one of the 2. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just wanted Chelsea to win because I love Chelsea so much. Like, dude, if you're going to take a bump off the top of a ladder through 2 tables on the outside, superstar in my eyes. But Tiffany is obviously the right decision to make. She's had such her rise has just been so fast. Like the rise she had in NXT to be drafted straight to the main roster, now has a guaranteed championship match. Yeah, dude, it's just a great rise to stardom, man. And yeah, I think I said like the week after Mania, I said Bron Breakker and Tiffany Stratton. They will be the breakout stars of this year. And dude, she's already got one thing in her pocket to elevate herself to like top tier, top card talent.
Absolutely, indeed. And what's great for her now is, like, you know, Tiffany potentially has got a world championship in her future. You would imagine that Bayley will become more vulnerable as well with this. But also, what's quite fascinating is the fact that Tiffany currently has a bit of a budding friendship with Nia Jax going on at present. Obviously, Nia Jax is Queen of the Ring. She's the one with the championship match at SummerSlam. You could start to be a bit of friction with Nia and Tiffany, like, you don't cash in on me or you don't spoil my opportunity. You know, Drew's turned the match into a triple threat match. Why wouldn't Tiffany do such thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the good thing is as well, like, because of the way they had the match card laid out, it's almost like, aside from Bayley, the fact Bayley isn't wrestling on the card, but it's almost like Tiffany has learned a lesson there. Do not rush this opportunity because it may not go the way you want it to go.
There you go. And she did have some words with Trish Stratus backstage after this as well. Pretty much along the lines, I mean, Trish basically said, you know, gave that sort of advice you just gave there. But also, Tiffany mentioned about how Trish's time is coming to an end and how her time is just starting. Could we see one more Trish Stratus match against Tiffany Stratton?
I think she again teased that in the post-show media scrum. I think she said that she said she was game for facing Trish as well in a match. Dude, it has to happen, man.
Absolutely. So what would be your star rating for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match?
4 1/4. Dude, love this match from start to end. Just thoroughly entertained. Right winner ultimately, as much as like I wanted Chelsea to win it. But yeah, dude, just a great match. My match of the night for me.
Fantastic. 3.75 for me. So it's joint match of the night at the moment, but I will pick one way or another at the end of the video as we go through our quick fire decisions at the end. Bama's in house. Bam, hope you're doing well. Said love the PLE. Right winners and great storytelling set up the week's building to SummerSlam. You've nailed it perfectly in just one sentence, my friend. We've got another comment coming here for us now. Screw McIntyre. Has become a whole movement. As good as the men's Money in the Bank ladder match was, the concept was to put over someone who isn't over, but need a push. We may never have seen a CM Punk or Edge become superstars that they are. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I agree with that. I mean, that's the concept of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match is always to tend to try and build the new stars of the future. But I think as well at the same time right now, outside of McIntyre. I didn't see anyone looking to win a world title. I mean, obviously, look, I'm jumping the gun here, but I'm assuming Gunther's going to be the next world heavyweight champion. Cody Rhodes is your current WWE champion. I don't see either of them two dropping belts, and I don't see Priest dropping it until SummerSlam at this point either. So I feel like it's the right move, personally, that it's been a screwed cash up this time this year. And like I said, we've said already in this video in great depth how we feel that the Money in the Bank wasn't wasted; it was done to a great use. But yeah, I still think this was the right move overall.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, like, if you take the competitors in that men's Money in the Bank ladder match, if anyone needed that briefcase more, it would have been Andrade, because everyone else has storylines on TV. Andrade has nothing. So, do you know what I mean? He should have technically won that, because it would have given him something or some reason to be on TV every week. Because obviously Carmelo's obviously just annoying everyone every week and picking fights with the wrong people. LA Knight's obviously still interested with Logan Paul. Drew obviously has Punk and whatever else. Jey obviously has the bloodline still going on. So yeah, everyone had a story apart from Andrade.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andrade, I actually thought Andrade was like well, it was like the yeah, in a way, but I kind of felt like there was someone, if you were going to be surprised about winning this match, there was someone I thought could have been. But yeah, would have been interesting to see. Bama's just come for a quick visit, but he said can't wait to chat more soon, do some this or that. Of course, we do look forward to being part on your show. Of course, that will be later this month. Watch this space. We'll be promoting it more as we get closer to the days. Tiffany Stratton is now Miss Barbie in the Bank. I mean, she has teased doing something with the briefcase already. I believe I saw that on social media earlier on. So yeah, I expect we will see perhaps a Barbie style briefcase could be in the horizon. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, to be fair, Priest had a custom one, but it's like it was just essentially a purple one. I'm hoping they go all out with Tiffany's one and they make it. Do you know what I mean? Give it a shoulder strap, make it furry or something. Do you know what I mean? Make it put real fur, not real fur, but real fur on it. Do you know what I mean? Make it look like a proper women's accessory.
I think they should do indeed. I think it's going to be a great seller on WWE Shop. Personally, I think it was the right call. Going to be a right call for that one. But we will move on towards what will be the main event of the show. Of course, I'm just going to give it away there. Solo pins Cody. That's the big talking point from it, isn't it? The Bloodline defeating Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. Now, of course, this match, standard WWE six-man tag team match, I think is the fair term to give this. But I liked some early stuff with it as well. I love the fact that Solo was kind of in the Roman Reigns role. I love that Jacob Fatu was in the Solo role. I love the fact that Solo was teasing at the start of the match to start it off, but Cody was just like, nope, I'm tagging Tama. I thought Jacob Fatu knows selling as well, the vintage Orton thing as well.
Yeah.
Dude's going to be a monster. I think Jacob Fatu's got a very bright future.
Yeah, I literally had the same note here. I said Fatu made to look like an animal by no selling vintage Orton, man. It just, like he's going to be such a great person to have just to be in that Solo Sikoa role, just as essentially a replacement for what Solo used to be for Roman. Dude, cannot wait to see more of him, man. Like for his first match, all right, yes, it is a six-man tag match, so obviously no one gets their. Ideally, no one gets their. Everyone gets their spots, but it's not exactly a great showcase. But once you see this guy in a one-on-one competition, dude, he's going to blow people away.
I think so as well. I think it's a very bright future for Jacob Fatu. Obviously, he was involved when the hot tag to Cody was made. He went flying over the barricade and actually took out the medical personnel as well while he was at it. But Cody got back in the ring, was hit by a spear by Solo Sikoa, head of the table, but only a 2 count. And of course, then Solo doing a ref bump afterwards, knocking the referee down. The referee actually got 2 bumps as well, one on the floor also not long afterwards. But we were going to get a table spot, wasn't we, with the announcers table? Solo was going to get the shield treatment, wasn't he, with the triple power bomb until Jacob Fatu pretty much came out and annihilated everybody. But then KO actually managed to get the advantage of Jacob Fatu and actually splashed him through the table. On the outside, Kevin Owens was going to go for a pile driver. It felt one of the sit-down pile drivers he does in ring on Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa went to do a low blow. Had to go for it a second time though. Poor Tonga Loa.
Hey, at least he did it a second time, and they didn't just botch it. Like essentially he just made it look like he didn't connect the first time, and I respect that because we've obviously seen so many times where someone's done a low blow and like the reaction has been delayed by about 10 seconds or something. So I'm glad that he did it again just to get through that moment.
Absolutely. And obviously, we get to the closing stages of the match. Cody Rhodes going for his trilogy of crossroads. But before we get hit the third one, Jacob Fatu come flying off the top rope to take Cody down, holds Cody up, and Solo hits a Samoan spike. The referee is brought back to life, and Solo gets the pinfall 1, 2, 3. And of course, that means Solo Sikoa, who now claims himself to be the head of the table, the tribal chief. Of course, Roman not returning. He's the one that's got the pinfall on Cody. I think we've just set ourselves up a championship match for SummerSlam.
Just a little bit. Yeah, dude, this was just a fight at the end of the day. Like, the fact that the fact that everyone on the face side got a hot tag, really, and still couldn't pick up the win is just great. And yeah, this was just honestly just like this was the point I was going to make as well. Like, the fact that every time that the heels had the advantage, they weren't looking to win. They just wanted to beat them up. And I was like, this is such a good thing to do. It's such a great way to advance this story. And yeah, it's the right result. It's right for the story. It's right for the story. Yeah, man, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I just thought it's a great way to advance the story between them all.
Yeah, absolutely. We did advance the story pretty darn well. Feel the story for Randy Orton and Kevin Owens not being able to defeat the Bloodline at all here, but it was the right result, this one. Obviously, you need to build it up here, and it looks like Solo as Cody will be the direction for SummerSlam. I think it's a given. I think Roman Reigns will return at some point, either to close the show or in some form to take Solo out to stop Solo winning here. It looks like the Bloodline Civil War is well and truly on.
I think Rock's returning, because we've already had the teaser that Rock wants a shot at that title. And I think if he doesn't come back at SummerSlam, he comes back Raw after SummerSlam.
Interesting. Do you think it's going to be Cody versus Rock at WrestleMania, or do you think it's going to be before then?
I don't know. Maybe Rumble. Like, if you're going to do it, maybe even Survivor Series, it's got to be one of the big four either way. So we'll see how that goes.
At the moment, if I had to guess, I would say it's Cody Rock at WrestleMania.
Oh, okay.
I think Roman Solo will be the other match.
Okay, yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it depends on how. Like, it's obviously all going to matter about where Jey is at the time, what Jimmy's doing, if Roman's return, what the stories are. So yeah, it's going to be fun to find out. Like I said, I think if they were going to do Rock Cody, the earliest will be Survivor Series, just because they might go a different way. They might end up doing Rock Roman at Mania. Who knows? But dude, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun indeed. And got another comments coming here. Not sold on the Bloodline except Jacob Fatu. Everyone else seems to be over their head. I think Tama Tonga's looked really good since he's coming to WWE. I think he's had some really stand-up performances. I understand, though, that Solo is probably... I want to say he's not been rushed. That's not a fair comment because he's been around for 2 years in WWE. He has been groomed for the position, but Solo was someone, if we look at last year, and John Cena, funnily, the person we talked about at the start of this video, was annihilated by Solo Sikoa at Crown Jewel. Then they did nothing with Solo until after WrestleMania. They didn't carry that momentum over. And I think that is a thing where a lot of people, potentially, you can tell me if I'm telling your story here or if I'm telling it wrong here, but I feel a lot of people, though, did disconnect with Solo Sikoa after Crown Jewel because it didn't continue. Then the house show records started creeping in onto like your Twitters and your Instagrams. It's like, well, he's losing every house show, so it's kind of like, what happened here? And I just feel like people don't connect with Solo the same way. But I do feel that Solo, I'm not sure he's ready for the main event at SummerSlam. I would agree with that, but I think that the presentation of Solo and the group certainly has gone up a few levels, especially with what they did at Madison Square Garden with Paul Heyman. I really liked the way they executed that. And I think that this presentation of Solo being like the Roman Reigns here in the six-man tag team match, Fatu obviously now taking the Solo role, I think they are slowly putting the presentation together where Solo will be seen as the guy that will be obviously the top of that. Obviously, he's the top of that group, but will be almost on the same level as Roman Reigns. But it's up to then what they do with it afterwards to make fans still be seeing it as believable.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the Cena match was probably time restrictions on that, and it's kind of like we have to do this now or never, and it's probably the reason maybe why his build has hindered. But then I actually don't mind the losses on the house shows, because the fact is now he is claiming to be the head of the table, and he's starting to get the wins where it matters, because winning now is more important than all the house shows he was losing. Like, he's winning on pay-per-views now, which is the more important thing. The only thing which I said on I said it on the predictions, is that I feel like they kind of rushed bringing in Tonga Loa, and now Jacob Food, who they've brought one in every pay-per-view or whatever it was. Like every pay-per-view for the last 2 months or whatever it was, they've brought one of them in, and it almost feels kind of rushed. But dude, as long as Solo's getting wins now, do you know what I mean? It's like he's meant to be the bad guy anyway. You don't want to see him win anyway.
Yeah, you don't want him to. We're not meant to, but obviously, I think people want to believe him. Should he be? Say he actually looks like he's going to win at SummerSlam. It needs to look believable. But the thing is, the good news about this, between now and SummerSlam, if that is going to be the championship match, I think it's going to be. If it's going to be the championship match, they've got even more weeks now to continue the momentum after beating Cody Rhodes. Perhaps Solo should beat KO, should beat Randy Orton, should. But I mean, there are big matches you can do on other premium live events further down the line. But Solo needs all the momentum right now, and I think that if they continue booking him in the strong way that they have been doing, I think it will be okay. But
who is the tag team champions on Raw at the minute? It's not Awesome Truth. It's
Judgment Day.
So the only thing you could possibly do, I'm trying to work out how you would get them tag team titles involved into like maybe a Tangaloa versus KO and Randy kind of thing, and they finally actually live up to this RKO t-shirt that they've been trying to sell for weeks. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the only thing I could think of really to try and build something else. But who knows, man? Maybe it'll be another 6-man tag, and we'll get Tama, Tonga, and Jacob at SummerSlam or something.
Well, I mean, if they're going for the tag team titles, they'll go for the SmackDown ones, which of course now have just been won by DIY.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, well, there you go. There's an ideal opportunity for them to get them titles then.
It'll be fun. I would not be against that for SummerSlam, by the way. I think it would be a good one. Get the tag team titles on the big show, because they're not getting on any show at the moment. So a main event of SmackDown is the best they can hope for at the minute. But certainly on hands of DIY, I'm excited to see what they will do. But let's get a star rating for this match then out of 5, then the 6-man tag team match.
I went for 3 3/4. I really enjoyed this. I thought it done what it needed to do to get itself over the line and to build for SummerSlam.
3.25 again for me. Everything was kind of in the freeze, the early freeze, the end freeze. I think that
crazy women's Money in the Bank match. Yeah, it's been all
in that sort of area. So yeah, fun stuff indeed. And anything you'd like to mention about Money in the Bank before we go through the final bits that we go through?
No, go for it, man. Go for it.
Okay, then. So,
sorry. No. I lie. I do lie. The Bad Blood promo. I am actually intrigued that they're doing a story to build the hype of this show. Because I'll be honest with you, I didn't know who the rapper was, but the fact that they're doing continuations for the build for a returning promo, I just thought he's great.
Yeah, I think it's a very original way to bring this and announce about this PLE as well. I mean, it's like to see the more promotional work they'll do for it. Of course, it's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia. I have a feeling, as the first ever one had a Hell in a Cell match, that we could be getting Hell in a Cell back in October. Let's wait and see. Could it be Punk versus Drew? Could it be Cody Rhodes versus somebody? Could it be something to do with the bloodline? Time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, let's go through the quick fire. So for those that have not seen this before, basically we have about 5 or 6 questions, and we're going to run through those and give quick answers. So that's pretty much the gist of it. So we'll start off with OMG moment of the night.
Just because I know what you're going to say, I'm going to say John Cena's retirement announcement.
Do you know what, though? That is an OMG moment of the night, because no one saw that coming. You knew you were going to get a big spot off the ladder. If we're going for spots, yes, it's Io and Zoe. So we hope you're okay. But I think you're right with the Cena one, personally. I think that is the OMG moment. It took up the first 15 minutes of the stream just talking about it. It was an OMG moment. Match of the night.
Women's Money in the Bank ladder match for me.
See, I now have to commit to either the men's or the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, because I kind of said they're both the same. And look, sometimes you just got to go for an average Money in the Bank ladder match. I will go for the men's one.
I'm never going to live this down.
I just feel it was a bit smoother. That was my reason for it. So it's going to be my match of the night. Entrance of the night.
I'll be honest with you. Bron, I suppose, because he had lasers. That's all. You know what I mean? No one really. This is actually my one critique was for a Toronto crowd. They weren't exactly the best crowd when you had KO, Sami, and Chelsea come out. They weren't as loud as I was expecting them to be. So where I'm expecting one of them three to have entrance of the night, I was like, it's kind of just okay. So yeah, Bron Breakker, I suppose.
I thought you were going to say Chelsea. I really did. For me, there's no entrance like CM Punk. CM Punk takes it for me. Good shout. Not quite an entrance, but I'll tell you what, it's he did make himself quite well known very quickly. So yes. MVP of the night.
Chelsea Green, man, for me. Obviously, I told you earlier on, man, I cannot do any more to blow smoke up her backside, man. Chelsea Green for me. She was an absolute star, and she made that Money in the Bank ladder match even better for me. Drew
McIntyre. 2 matches, storyline narrative for the first half of the show. Controversial or not, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. The story beat itself for me was up there for best thing of the night. So yeah, I give it to Drew McIntyre. And then a 1 out of 10. Your final rating?
Just as a quick shout, Chelsea Green also had outfit of the night because that was great. 7.5 out of 10 for me.
Nice. I'm going to go for an 8. 8 for me. I thought this was I think it's a good show. I think the thing is like we mentioned about the in-ring wrestling, but also the storyline narrative. I was not bored throughout it, and if anything, I thought that a lot of the booking decisions, people say some of the stuff was good, some bad, and all the rest of it. I think a lot of it was on point. I think the Money in the Bank stuff would be sent to death now. You know what I'm going to say. It was the right move. I think Solo pinning Cody was the right move. I think Tiffany winning was the right move. So, yeah, I was quite satisfied. My only critique, if any, is that there was a lot of adverts on this show. This show could have been shorter if they wanted it to be. But
that and then botched the 2 count for Priest and Seth.
That as well. Those are the minor things there. So that is our review of Money in the Bank, ladies and gentlemen, 2024. And if you've enjoyed this video and you're on the YouTube side, then this is the time we do ask, could you please hit the like button? It really helps the channel a long way. Share with a friend as well. Anyone likes wrestling, let them know we're here. Subscribe as well if you are new here as well, so you can keep up to date with more content on this channel. And well, obviously we're moving away from the Money in the Bank season. We're starting to roll into SummerSlam season, so expect a lot of SummerSlam themed videos over the next few weeks, including match card predicted, and of course the SCW Rewind, where we will pick you're going to pick it. I've got 5 SummerSlams lined up. Who would like a poll this evening? It's going to be dropping later on this evening. Keep an eye on the community tab. You can get involved and pick which SummerSlam it is going to be, and I can tell you there are some real classic ones. You're not going to want to miss out on this vote. And obviously, for those that are watching on X, thank you all so much for taking the opportunity to watch on X. I've realized that on this stream, I didn't actually drop a YouTube link. Apologies. But what I can do for you, I can say hit a follow if you've not followed already. And there is actually a link in the bio to the YouTube channel. So you can click on that link to the bio and you can get over to the YouTube channel and you can check out more content in the meantime. There are quite a lot of shorts in this week. There are also NXT Heatwave. Those predictions are up now. The show hasn't started yet. And of course, there are other videos you can go and watch as well, including myself and then next Steve. But that's all from us. NXT Steve, thank you for being a part of this. It's been great to have you as always.
Dude, always a pleasure. Really look forward to this one. I'm now going to go spend most of my night watching NXT Heatwave now.
I'm looking forward to that show. It's going to be a fun one. And obviously a big thank you as well to everyone in the comment section of this video. You keep us busy and you keep it fun as well with all your questions as well. So looking forward to catching you all for the next video. But thanks for watching. Look after yourselves and each other. This has been Money in the Bank. And yeah, look forward to seeing you. Hopefully cash into this channel around for the next video.